Hey everybody, Chris here, and I am so excited to talk to you. It's been a while to actually do a podcast episode. I took a break and I thought I was going to get started a while back again, and I did for a few weeks, and then I kind of, you know, uh, flamed out, I'll say, again. And now I'm going to, I hope, right? My goal here is to get back in action. Actually, I'm going to start sharing some interviews I've done with leaders over the last couple years. I'll start adding those as episodes as well to the show so you can hear their insights. They're actually a part of my Magnetic Leadership Academy, which is what I've renamed what once was at the beginning the Magnetic Leadership Community. And the reason I've even renamed it is because my vision has shifted and changed over the last several months as we came into the new year in 2025. I kind of had a word for the year that has truly been coming to fruition, and it's reset. And I just really want to take some time this year to really reset my thinking about business, about what I'm spending my time, my energy, and attention on. And it's been a great run here. The past 6 months, first half of the year, have just really been powerful for me to help me get more clarity. But I'll say that it's also made me make some changes, and that's good. Change isn't bad when it's strategic, when it's purposeful, and I hope that in these upcoming episodes, you're going to hear that from me that things are shifting, but I think they're getting more dialed in, which is exciting. And so I'm glad to be back in this episode. And I want to talk to you about a topic that actually I released as a blog article just recently. And it was this, it's the hidden cost of relentlessness in leadership. The hidden cost of relentlessness in leadership. And the reason I bring this topic up is because I was really thinking about the kind of leaders that I love to work with as a coach and a trainer and audiences that I like to speak to. They are typically very highly driven, motivated leaders, but there's a downside to being driven. And I've lived this myself. I've been labeled as a doer, as a get it done guy. And I have worn that as a badge of honor throughout my career and my life. And I'm glad I'm seen as somebody that likes to execute and implement, because I think that the best kept ideas, that don't get implemented, you're just wasting your time, right? You've lost traction in your life and in your business. But the reality is sometimes we can drive too hard, and sometimes we can be too much for ourselves, and relentlessness becomes the word, and what that leads to, in my opinion, is restlessness. So if you're too relentless, it's easy to become restless because you're exhausted, you're worn out, you're frustrated. Sometimes you feel stuck, and a lot of times it's you feel like there should be more to life than this, or maybe my business should be accomplishing more. Maybe, my relationship should be better. Maybe my parenting or my, whatever should be better. And there could be more to life than this. And so my first book, The Way to Greatness, I talk a lot about, five core choices that we have to make continually that help us lead to what I call the great life that I believe God has created us to experience in our lives. And the reality is, we can't live that great life if we're not making those continual choices daily, that we're not making key choices. And that has to do with our faith, our relationships, our mindset, how we manage our resources, and how we maximize our time. And in fact, I'm actually reading a great book right now that's challenging my thinking about time again, and it's called Procrastinate on Purpose by Rory Vaden. And I don't think I ever heard of this, honestly, but it's really good. I just started reading it. But he's talking so much in the book about how do we view not just getting things done and being efficient and effective, but also the significance piece. And I think that as leaders, when we get so busy working hard and we're running fast and we're pressing and we're trying to manufacture results and we're being relentless, which once again can be a good quality when you need that tenacity, when you need to get things done. But if you're being so relentless and you're stomping the gas pedal all the time and you're not giving yourself space to breathe and to take a break, it can crush you. And then it leads to restlessness because you're wondering, what am I doing? What is this all there is to life? Is my business really going to be successful? There's all these internal fears and anxieties and things that just kind of well up inside of us. So I just want to bring this to our attention today I'm not going to read the blog article as you can read it. I'll link it in the show notes even. Um, just read it doesn't take but a few minutes to read it, but just want to highlight a few of these ideas. And, once again, we push hard because there's really this pressure to perform that never stops. And the more successful we are, the more pressure to be more successful. And it's like, it's that whole idea that if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. Maybe you've heard that. Maybe you've been that person. I have, by the way. It's when you see people being effective, when you see people being successful, it's easy for people to say, I want to partner with them. I want to work with them. I want them to do my project. I want them to, be on my team, whatever it may be. And that's happened to me so many times in my career where my enthusiasm, my energy, my willingness to help, I'm not saying people have taken advantage of it, I don't think they've done it like maliciously. The problem has been me saying yes to too many things. It's not been them asking. People can ask you all sorts of things to be a part of, but when we aren't clear on kind of who we are and where we're going and who we best serve and how we best serve them, whether it's, working within a company or whether it's owning your own business, it doesn't matter. If we're not clear on those things, then we can say yes to way too many things. And so for me now, as I'm looking at strategic partnerships and collaborations and working with people, even clients that I want to coach, I'm being much more strategic and intentional with filtering out people that may not be a great fit and really looking at who are the best people for me to partner with. So I just want to say that because I think a lot of times our success can become the root cause of some of our challenges and really cause a lot of stress and anxiety and problems for us if we're not really thinking about this in the right way. So the pace can lead, like I said, to lack of rest. It can just exhaustion, burnout. It can lead to crashing, versus resting, as my friend John Harney likes to talk about that, crashing is not resting. And that's been my story way too many times in my life, in my leadership is I go, 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 and then I crash. And I think, well, I'm just resting, I'm recovering, getting ready. And then I go, go, go and crash again. And there's a better way to have a rhythm than doing it that way. And so I feel like I'm the poster child of going hard and crashing, going hard and crashing. And I'm trying to learn how to pace myself and have more of a rhythm in my life so that it is healthier and more sustainable. Because there is a better way, right? Like the things that we start to feel, those frustrations, the thing that's really helped me is that those can be warning indicators, like warning signs on your dashboard in your car, like when you need an oil change or when there's a tire problem, a brake problem, something's going on that your computer system in your car is starting to light up the dashboard. And we start to pay attention to those and we're like, you know what? I need to get this into the shop. I need to get my oil change. I need to get my tires replaced or rotated. I need whatever it is. Those indicators are helpful to us as drivers so that we're making sure that we're maintaining our cars at a level where they can perform well and be safe. Well, we don't have those dashboard lights as human beings, like physically, like where something comes across our head and there's lights flashing up. That would be pretty helpful. Many of us would have way too many lights on, probably to be comfortable to show that to the public. But the reality is when we're frustrated, when we're tired, when we feel exhausted and irritable. I mean, I started even just jotting down what are those things that I have felt at different times. Being short with people when I'm normally trying to be very caring and compassionate with people. When I start to be short with people, when I start to be irritable, when I start to be frustrated, those are warning indicators that I need to be paying attention to, and if I do, then I can basically put myself in a better place to rest and reset. And that's a lot of this journey I'm on this year. Like I mentioned, the word reset has been huge, not just about resetting and realigning and refreshing my business and my branding and all the things that I'm currently working on, but it's also about my life. And I started to really think about, for me, I'm a couple years away from turning 50 years old. What do I want my life to look like when I turn 50? I've also just passed the decade mark of when I joined the John Maxwell team to become a certified coach, started my business in 2015 in the summer. I'm 10 years later now. A decade has passed. I've done a lot of great things. I've had a lot of great conversations, met with a lot of great people. It's been fun, but it's also been hard. It's been quite a journey of ups and downs for the last decade. And I started thinking about what do I want the next decade to look like. And so once again, it's it's a recalibration, it's a resetting in order to ultimately have better results. And so I think that as leaders, when we do this well, we can have some really good outcomes. And so pay attention. What are the natural seasons of your life or your business that you know you need to pay attention to, right? Like for me, I love summertime, I love the fall, I love spring. I don't like winter so much. But what I've learned, and I'm still working in this, I'm a work in progress to be fair, is to give myself extra grace in the winter when I'm feeling more tired because naturally it's darker longer, right? The sun doesn't come up till later in the morning. It goes down early in the afternoon or evening. Winter is hard for a lot of people, and there's seasonal depression and there's things that people deal with. And as leaders, when you're in a season like literally a physical weather season like winter, and you're in a busy season as a leader with your business, your organization, that can be, a collision course that could really do a lot of damage and hurt you. So I just want to encourage you to think about, what season are you in? What are you currently navigating? What, do you need to be watching out for? I was talking to a leader recently, and they have a with their business, the fall is a really busy time for them, and so the summer they're really trying to take it easier and trying to not be in the office as much, and they're because they know what's coming in just a few months. And I have a good friend who's an accountant, and tax season, right? January through mid-April is just a blur. It's more than a quarter. It's 4 months of just nonstop busyness for CPAs and their firms. And, but that doesn't last all year, but you need to prepare for that and know mentally and emotionally that it's coming. And so, my friend and the stories I hear, once again, they try to pace themselves at different times of the year, knowing that tax season is going to be what it is. It's just part of the job. It's part of the industry. So I just want to encourage you today to really think about this topic of, how to avoid certain costs, because the hidden cost of relentlessness is burnout. The hidden cost of relentlessness is disconnection. Drive, grit, determination. Those are good things and can be good things, but we also sometimes need to learn when to dial them back and balance things, because once again, we can start to feel disengaged, frustrated, irritable, even apathetic, which is, it seems like the antithesis of what we really want to be about and what we normally operate by. But we can swing that pendulum so far back because we're feeling so run down. And what happens is we're chasing more. And this is another thing. I want to talk about this in upcoming episodes, probably more about this, is that, I think as leaders, we do want more. We want more out of our lives. We want more for our families, our relationships, our marriages, our parenting. We want more financial stability or growth. We want more success. We also start to go, I want more significance. I want to make sure my life counts and what I'm doing is truly honoring God and helping others and being a good community member and all these things. And once again, but if you have responsibilities at your job and in your business, and then you're also feeling, okay, I'm pulled because I'm coaching my kids' team, or I need to be more present with my family, or whatever the thing may be. I volunteered for, all these organizations. That's another thing. A lot of successful people get asked to be on a lot of boards and committees and associations and groups, which in and of themselves are all good. These are all good things that people, tend to be drawn into and asked to be a part of. But if you're going to be a leader worth following, if you're going to be that magnetic leader who can truly attract and retain and inspire and engage your people, you have to take care of you first and foremost. And that's hard, right? That's hard to take care of us first. And really, as I started to really try to connect the dots more between my first book, The Way to Greatness, and my second book, The Magnetic Leader, and then ultimately my third book, which will be about magnetic teams, it's the reality that as leaders, we have to start with ourselves. We have to start with taking care of ourselves. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not going to be people that others really want to be around. They don't want to follow because they're like, that guy, he's a mess. That gal, she is just, a mess with her life, with her attitude or whatever. I mean, we feel this as leaders, as men and women, and we it manifests in different ways than maybe we even expect. So we need to take care of ourselves, make sure that we can be good, period. And then we can start to look at, okay, how do I lead others? How do I lead my team members? How do I help them be great? How do I help them grow? How do I attract the right kind of people to my team that are going to do the kind of work that's going to make a big difference in the world? So I want you to think about that. How do you take care of you so that you can then ultimately lead and take care of others? And what are your warning signs? What are your dashboard lights that are internal things? And even ask people around you that know you well. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's a coworker, business partner, whatever, and say, you know what, you know who I am normally. And when I start to act out of character, when I start to get irritable, when I start to be apathetic, when I start to be stressed and frustrated, and you could just sense it, I need you to tell me. I need you to say, hey, I'm going to be your warning signal. I can tell you're burning the candle at both ends right now. You're too much, too involved, doing too much. You're stressed. Have that accountability partner, and it's not just about accountability for you to do good things. It's also accountability for you to take care of you and to make sure that things are going in a good direction. So I encourage you to think about that because, once again, being relentless, having that grit, determination, it's a great thing when it's applied properly, but it can be a terrible thing when we are doing damage to ourselves. So hope that's helpful. Hope that's something to think about. Hey, if you would like to jump into my Magnetic Leadership Academy, which is what I can now call it, it's really a content library now. What I've discovered is leaders are so busy that the group calls just are hard to get on for a lot of leaders because everybody's schedules are so crazy. So I'm always available for people, right? Like as a coach, I'm always available to connect and help people. But what I wanted to really hone in on and to dial in on is creating valuable, fresh training lessons and expert interviews. And so my magnetic leadership course is in the academy. I have a bonus lesson section, and I'm adding actually more lessons to it now because I have a little bit more margin in my schedule. And so I'm looking at different key leadership topics and coming up with 20 to 30-minute lessons that'll help you grow in certain areas of leadership. And then I'll continue to interview experts that will continue to put in. And so it's a leadership vault. It's a library for you, kind of on demand, 24/7 access, where you can jump in, watch an interview or watch a lesson or things like that. So that's what it is. It's only $47 now. I have reduced it just to keep it at a low monthly, $47 a month rate so that, it's just something that, you can subscribe to and continually have new content added, but it'll just be a growing vault of resources. So if that sounds exciting and helpful to you, then check out magneticleadershipacademy.com, and you can check out the resources and hope that it can be valuable to you. So also with my magnetic leadership content, I have kind of been refreshing what I offer to teams. And so um, if you have a team and you could have multiple cohorts, because what I've done is each cohort now is going to be a maximum of 12 people. And that's intentional because 12 people is a great number for interaction and for community support. So, groups of 12, cohorts of 12 can go through the magnetic leadership content together. And we can do that in an accelerator fast pace of 12 weeks, a coaching call every week, content access for actually long beyond the 12 weeks. You'll have access to it long term. But as far as you reviewing it, the group coaching calls, that would be a 12-week, 90-day period. Or you could do it in a 12-month cycle where it's spaced out a little bit more. I had started this with teams doing it for 18 months. That's just a little long, I think, for teams to stay with and for it to be maybe even a budgeting issue for teams of, you want to get certain things done in a year cycle. So I've compressed it a little bit. So it's 12 sessions, whether it's 12 weeks, 12 months. That depends on you and your team, how fast you want to go. But if that's something that you're interested in, check out, um, my website at mcclurecoaching.com and look up under the Teams tab, the Magnetic Leadership Academy for Teams version. So there's the side that if you're an individual and you just want access to the content, you can do that. Or if you want your teams to go through with a group coaching and training version of it with all the content that's in there, I can certainly do that too. So you can always email me, Chris at mcclurecoaching.com. If you have any questions, I'd love to connect with you. But I hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your week. And in fact, make it that way. You have control, make it great. and we will see you next time.